Mike Tyson is one of the greatest boxers to ever walk the earth aside from the likes of Muhammad Ali. He's made a fortune for himself due to the numerous matches he's been in, and because of this, a lot of people have wanted to interview him. In this video, we're going to be talking about some of the incidents where he got angry, causing the interviews to go completely wrong. So don't go anywhere. But before we start, be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any new videos about your favorite boxers. Let's do this. There was a particular interview that Mike Tyson was in, and in this interview, the coach of his opponent was trying to point out that he had been training Mike Tyson's opponent for up to 2 years. Mike Tyson refused to allow him to finish talking and commented that he was going to beat him up like a fish instead of being patient and allowing the coach to talk. There was another interview where Mike Tyson was insulting an interviewer. In that video, Mike Tyson pointed out that he was not going to be nice to the interviewer because of the way she was treating him. He said that if he was going to be eloquent with her, she was still going to treat him the same way, and so he saw no point in being nice. There was also another interview when Mike Tyson was being interviewed about his upcoming opponent. He was told the losses and wins of the opponent and was asked whether this bothered him. Mike Tyson replied by saying that he didn't care about the numbers the interviewer mentioned and was more interested in what he could do to make sure that his opponent was defeated. He also threatened to kill the opponent in the ring, which was pretty unprofessional, and in his facial expression there was a slight hint of rage. During another interview, Mike Tyson's opponent seemed to be shouting at him, which angered Tyson a little bit. He threatened to knock out the opponent at that moment instead of waiting for the day they were to fight. He said he was going to fight him right there and knock him out, and he couldn't wait to turn him into his lady. There was also a particular interview just before a fight when Mike Tyson was asked if he was ready for his opponent, and he stated that he was more than ready, pointing out the fact that if his opponent was so strong it caused him to lose one eye, he would use the other eye to fight. He pointed out that the opponent had 2 ears and he would feel very happy if he could knock him deaf with his punches. If you watched that interview, you'll notice that Mike Tyson was a bit jumpy, and he also stated that he was ready to fight at that very moment. During another interview for his one-man show, which was titled The Undisputed Truth,
highs and lows. So interesting that you come across like a nice guy, but you're really a piece of shit. Hey, with that comment. Come on. No, that was a piece of fuck you. That was a piece of shit. You know, we're doing live TV. Man, I don't care. What are you gonna do about it?
As the interview went on, the other person Mike Tyson came with asked him to talk a bit about his new show, and Mike Tyson pointed out that the show speaks for itself and that it was a masterpiece. He didn't want to talk about the show and didn't address anything concerning it. It was the gentleman who sat beside Tyson that decided to tell the interviewer about the show and everything it entailed.
Vegas, and went to actually 28 cities in the United States.
And that there were a lot of plans to do more. He also mentioned his plans with Tyson to visit Monaco. The interviewer also decided to ask Tyson how he felt about the show and if he felt nervous doing the show compared to when he was boxing. And Mike Tyson insulted him even more, refusing to answer the question he was asked. The interviewer, being more mature than Mike Tyson, thanked him for attending the show and decided to close it to prevent any more verbal assault. There was also another video of Mike Tyson that was released, and in that video, Mike Tyson seemed to be talking about people who claimed not to like him. He mimicked some of them, and then replied to their claims by stating that most of them wished they were him. He said that most of them wished they had his money and were able to do the things that he did. One time before a fight, Mike Tyson was seen screaming at someone, stating that he'll be the person until the person loved him. He also used a lot of vulgar words, and some of his managers seemed to be holding him back as he screamed at the person. During the screaming, the person he shouted at did not reply to him at all, which was an indication that such a person might have been afraid of Mike Tyson, and the cameramen did not back down as well. They all pointed their cameras at Mike Tyson, wanting to get the perfect view of him screaming at people. Did you watch that video? Let us know in the comments. Before a particular fight with a very huge guy, Mike Tyson's opponent was asked what he thought about fighting Mike Tyson, and he insulted Mike Tyson verbally, stating that he was going to put his fuse out despite his nickname Kid Dynamite. Mike Tyson smiled at the comment made by his opponent, after which he taunted him and forced him to sign the fighting contract. That video was filled with a lot of screaming fans, and we couldn't really hear what Mike Tyson was saying despite the microphones and speakers. There was a particular interview where Mike Tyson was being questioned by a woman. She asked him if he could win the fight he was preparing for, and he was quite rude to her by asking her if it was her turn to talk. He also insulted the woman by saying that he did not do interviews with them unless he was going to fornicate with them. For a moment, the entire area was flooded in complete silence, and Mike Tyson told her not to talk again. During another interview, when Mike Tyson decided to wear a blue suit with a tattoo on his face,
What are you trying to elicit? Want to see how much you've changed, Mike? You're a different person now, aren't you?
Mike Tyson replied to this interviewer mentioning that he had indeed changed, and that if he was the same person, he would have insulted him at that moment. There was also another interview online where Mike Tyson was asked about one of his opponents, Evander Holyfield, and Mike Tyson made use of vulgar words. The interviewer then asked him why he had to talk like that, and Mike Tyson replied by telling him that he could speak however he wanted, and he didn't have to follow any rules. Clearly infuriated, the interviewer then decided to end the call and wished Mike Tyson good luck in his fight. There have been many interviews when Mike Tyson insulted his interviewers, calling them all sorts of vulgar names. There was a particular time when Mike Tyson was asked to comment on something, and he stated that he was going to comment on that particular thing, but first of all, he insulted the interviewer again. He also said that the interviewer was insensitive and didn't have a sense of feeling for anything. Mike Tyson has been in a lot of interviews, and he's insulted numerous interviewers because of his short temper. Although none of the interviews have led to him hitting any of the interviewers. He was a very proud man and was quite full of himself, but nowadays, Mike Tyson has seemed to calm down because of his age. He's also been seen in numerous skit videos, music videos, as well as short films and full movies. Hopefully, they're still going to be as entertaining for us for a very long time, and I can't wait to see Mike Tyson in other movies as well. But what do you think of all this? Do you feel there should have been a better way that Mike Tyson could handle the interviews? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you leave, be sure to like the video, slap the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell to be the first to know when we upload more boxing videos like this. Thanks for watching. Until next time.